Hello, today we're going to be doing a round robin CPU scheduling. I have a problem right here. We are told to calculate the average waiting time, average turnaround time, and the throughput. If I do make any mistakes, please let me know. This was a tough concept for me to learn, so getting that feedback is very crucial. I will be looking at my notes throughout this, but for the time being, let us get started. With every single problem, we always want to denote our variables. We see here that the quantum is 5. The quantum is essentially a time slice that the scheduler is giving to these processes. This means that each of these processes has a maximum of, in this case, 5 units of time to do each of its processes. To do it. And if it doesn't get to its process in time, it goes to the back of the queue. Obviously, P0 is not going to be able to finish its whole burst time, so it gets to the end of the queue where it waits for all of the other processes to go about. Let's start drawing the first box. We're drawing a Gantt chart. So let's just draw a chart at first. Boom. We're going to be using Paint's line tool. And then let's just draw boxes. Looks like a box. Talks like a box. All right. So we have a quantum of 5. All right. So as we said before, we already know that the first process isn't going to be able to complete its whole first time in the time allotted. So it only gets about 5 units of time before it's starting the next process. So this is P0's block. It operates for about 5 units of time, and then we go on to the next one. So let's cross this off just so we can keep track of it. And then that is a 9. Same thing with P1. We will draw that box. And then that also operates with 5 units of time. Let me get it better. So then that becomes 3. All right. And remember, this becomes 3 because our initial quantum, our variable quantum, is 5. Since we are given a time slice of 5, this whole process can't run the whole way. So it does what it can in the time given, and it puts the remaining burst time for a later date. Okay, so then this is 10 seconds. Now we get to a process that has a lower burst time than the quantum. So when this happens, it's really straightforward. Essentially, it stops when it needs to stop. In this case, it stops at 14 because we started at 10 and the first time of process 2 is 4. So then P2, and it finishes there. We have no use in putting this back to the queue. Yeah. Now we go on to process 3. And since 7 is greater than 5, which is our quantum, oops, we put that on the back burner for a later time. And then this becomes 19 because we've done 19 units of time of scheduling so far. So P3, perfect. All right, same deal for P4 as we did in P2, where the first time is less than. Oh, let's make that a little bit smaller. It's less than, so we make a smaller box, obviously, to denote that it is a shorter process. All right. So we went through one round of round robin. Right. Let's go on to the next round. So with P of 0, we go to the top, and then this is the number 9. The quantum doesn't change, so we continue on like normal. Okay. Let me do some cleanup. Alright, we did some cleanup. I was able to fight my arch nemesis on top of a clock tower, so that's pretty cool. Let's continue with the scheduling. So we left off after we finished P4. We go back to the top, and process 0 still has remaining burst time. We have to account for this. So P of 0 now gets scheduled. We can cross off that 9, and then 9 minus 5, you already know, it is 4. And then we account for that, so 21 plus 5 is 26. And then Bob's your uncle. Let's keep going on to this. So then process 1 has 3 units of burst time. So boom, P1, and then this runs until 29, where the process terminates. So then we cross that out, we get 0. And then there is nothing in P2, so we don't even worry about it. Now let's go to the next one. All right, then P3. Right, and I believe that's a 2. Pretty sure that started off with 7. Yep. All right, yep, that started off with a 7, so that's a 2. So we do 29 plus 2, and that gives us 31. And then that should finish this round of round robin. We do still have one last process in the tank, so we have to account for that. Right. So P of 0 is left holding the bag, and it has the lowest amount of remaining burst time for this round. Not that it really matters, you just go until everything's done. Let's see. So then 4 plus 31 is 35. Okay. I will check my notes to see how to do the other calculations. Okay, after careful consideration of my notes, I have deemed that they are wrong, but I'm going to try my best, so take these with a grain of salt. So to calculate the average waiting time, we need to look at where the process starts on its last rendition and subtract that by the quantum. That is how I understand it. I think I'm right, but just refer back to your notes. I know my Gantt chart is most likely right. It's just these calculations might be wrong. All right, but let's continue the show. So P0, so process 0, the last time it runs is 31. And then we subtract that by the quantum. There is something that you have to factor in, which is arrival time. Since this set of processes don't have arrival times, I guess we assume that they're 0 in this case. We don't really have to subtract that. In my specific scenario, I asked my professor about, what do we do about arrival times, and he said, you gave me a good idea for the exam, so I pray for me on that. Let's see. And then the next one, we know that, hold on. So we know that P1, its last rendition was at 26. So I believe we can subtract that by 5 and then get a, 21, obviously. 26. All right. And then P2, that just executed as normal. When it first came onto the scene, it started at... Hold on, let's check that. Yeah, I think we straight up just do it like whatever it starts at. So P2 started at... Where did it start running? So it started running at 10. So we put it for 10. Okay. All right, let's keep going. P3, where did its rendition end? 29, and then minus the burst time, which was 5. Keep in mind, this could be totally wrong. But I know my Gantt is pretty good. Oops. Okay. So this is P of 3, I believe. P of 4 was able to finish easily, so wherever P of 4 started, so that's 19, I believe. So 31 minus 7, so All right, we're just gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going with this. All right, let's just say that I'm gonna say with a pretty good degree of certainty that this could be wrong. You get a number somewhere in like right under 90. Like if I were to estimate this, I'd probably say something like 90 over like 19. I think what you should do is look up a calculator to calculate the average turnaround time and plug these numbers in. Just because I'm very shaky on these. So I can give you the turnaround time. The turnaround time is, I believe, when each of the processes finish. So TT. So 35, 29, 14, 31, 21. And then that's 130 over 5. That's 26. All right. And then throughput, that's just the number of processes over the final time. So the whole thing finishes at 35, so all we do is just 5 over 35. And that's it, 1 over 7. Yeah, I'm confident on most of it besides average waiting time. That's the thing is, every time it gets explained to me, there's always a different scenario in which I doubt everything that I've done up to that point. So that is my dilemma. If you do have, I guess if you ever have an epiphany on how to do average waiting time, please come back to this and let me know because I will definitely need that information. All right. Oh, wow, 13 minutes. Sorry for taking up your time.